So while a lot of people are talking about backwards compatibility right now because the PlayStation 5 and next Xbox are confirmed to have backwards compatibility, which is awesome. I love backwards compatibility, and I think it definitely has a role to play in the future of console gaming. But I think there's another thing that is potentially going to start popping up, something that not too many people are familiar with. It's called forwards compatibility. So if backwards compatibility is being able to play older games on newer hardware, forwards compatibility is the ability to play newer games on older hardware. Now, I know a lot of people are probably thinking right now, what the hell is the point of that? Why would that even be a thing? How is that even possible? Well, I'm going to try to explain everything regarding forwards compatibility in this video and why I think it has the potential to be the future of console gaming. So that's what today's video is going to be about. So we all know about backwards compatibility. We've all experienced some form of backwards compatibility before, whether it's being able to play Game Boy Advance cartridges on the Nintendo DS, playing PS1 games on the PS2, and most recently, of course, playing Xbox 360 games on the Xbox One. And backwards compatibility certainly is going to be a game changer when it comes to console gaming in the future. I think remasters will effectively be obsolete. There will be no need for remasters to exist if you can access your entire game library, and not only that, but those games will be enhanced. I think you're going to see PlayStation 4 games enhanced on the PS5, look better, run better, etc., etc. We've already seen that with the Xbox 360 games on the Xbox One, especially the Xbox One X. Games that came out in like 2006, 2007, being upscaled to 4K and running better, looking better than they've ever looked ever. So I think backwards compatibility is certainly going to shake up console gaming in a good way. But I also think forwards compatibility has a huge part to play as well. I think we're heading towards the direction of console generations meaning less and less and less. So I think there's going to be a situation especially with the Xbox. I'm not sure about the PlayStation, but with the Xbox, I'm certain about this, that there will be certain games that will be playable on the Xbox One X, but not the original Xbox One. Microsoft did something very smart by saying, hey, this is an Xbox One upgraded version. You'll be able to play all the games that run on this console will be playable on the original Xbox One. So this is not a new generation. We're not abandoning our early adopters or anything like that. It's just an in-between console. But I think that in-between console will have more longevity than the original Xbox One. Microsoft isn't going to discontinue the Xbox One X just because the Xbox One is obsolete. If the new Xbox One X that came out in 2017 still has enough power to run modern games. So I think we will see the Xbox One X stay relevant until about 2022, 2023. So effectively there will be forwards compatibility for Xbox One X games that may have been specifically made for the 9th generation Xbox console but can theoretically work on the Xbox One X. I can't see Microsoft release a $500 console and say, sorry, it's 3 years later, this console is now obsolete. Sorry if you bought an Xbox One X. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Xbox One X actually is going to last about 6 years like your average console does. I think Microsoft's going to continue releasing these in-between consoles because the Xbox One X was a moderate success. It did fairly well. So I think we're going to see Microsoft do that going forward. I know Sony had the PlayStation 4 Pro, but I think the PlayStation 4 Pro is so underpowered in comparison to the Xbox One X. It can't even do real 4K. It's like a checkerboard 4K. So I don't know if the PlayStation 4 Pro is going to work the same way. But I have almost no doubt in my mind at this point that there will be certain games playable on the Xbox One X come new generation that will not work on the original Xbox One, which doesn't really hurt the original people who bought the Xbox One because they got plenty of years out of that original console. But for people who decided to upgrade and buy the Xbox One X, it won't be a total waste of money. They won't be forced to upgrade until maybe midway through the 9th generation, at which point Microsoft will release an upgraded version of the new generation Xbox, if that makes any sense. I think this is going to be a cycle that will repeat itself for the foreseeable future. I think it may take a while for Sony to get on board forwards compatibility, but I think eventually they'll get there too. Right now they're focusing on backwards compatibility and cross-gen gameplay. These two things, along with forwards compatibility, kind of tie in with the greater trend going on with console gaming, which is that console generations are becoming more and more meaningless. I don't think console gaming is dying, per se. I know a lot of people foolishly believe that streaming services are going to take over and console gaming is going to become obsolete, PC gaming is going to become obsolete, Stadia is going to be the new master race of gaming. Yeah, we'll see how that goes, but I'm very doubtful about that. But I think certainly the gaming industry and console gaming specifically is definitely undergoing a change or an evolution. It's definitely going to see a significant change. And the way that console gaming is perceived is definitely going to change over the years. I think backwards compatibility, forwards compatibility, and cross-gen gaming are going to make the notion of the console generation less important and less significant, because when a new generation of consoles arrives, it's a new set of games, a new library. But with backwards compatibility, you have the old library that you had, it carries over, and they could run and look better. So yeah, the new generation is going to be important, definitely, but not nearly as important as back in the day, let's say comparing the PS2 to the PS3. And with these in-between consoles kind of coming in between generations, I think it's pretty much solidifies that console generations are becoming less and less relevant. I don't think they're going to go full PC and let you upgrade your consoles, but I think we're heading towards that direction where the console generation is pretty much irrelevant or less relevant than it's ever been before. I think the PlayStation 6 reveal is going to be far less relevant than that of the PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation 4, and definitely the PS2 and 3. So I think we're heading towards an irreversible shift. And whether or not that's a good change or not, I'll leave that up to you guys, but I think it's good. I think it keeps console gaming relevant in the modern age. I think the previous barrier between gamers of different generations not being able to play with each other was kind of arbitrary, and I think now that cross-gen gaming is becoming a key focus with Sony's PlayStation 5 and possibly Microsoft's next-generation Xbox, it's going to make the consoles feel more modern and less archaic, because there will always be new technologies, there will be new games, and they'll be continuing to push hardware limitations and make new generations of hardware, but it will continue to bring gamers together across different generations, so that if you have the PlayStation 4 version of the game, you don't have to go out and buy a PlayStation 5 to play with your friend who has a PlayStation 5. It doesn't hurt Sony, because it actually might hurt Sony more if they don't have cross-gen gaming, because people are going to be less likely to buy the new-gen consoles if all their friends are still playing the old games on the old consoles. So having that barrier taken down, I think, is a good call, and I think that partially signifies the end of the importance of console generations, because I think we're shifting towards a thing where the PlayStation platform is one platform. There's no more division. Like the PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation 4 are essentially different platforms, right? They both technically run the PlayStation Network. They both have the PlayStation Store, and they all have games you could play online with your friends on PlayStation, but they're fundamentally different experiences. But I think the difference between the PS4 and PS5 will be a little bit more minuscule, and there will be more unified platforms. If you have friends on the PS5, you'll be able to chat with them and party chat, play games with them, and do all that good stuff. And then backwards compatibility. The reason why Sony and Microsoft are both fully committed to backwards compatibility come next generation is because they don't need to do much work. They're going to use the same exact architecture. The Jaguar processor from the last generation of consoles will be used on the new generation of consoles, so there won't be a significant change and alteration in technology, because the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4 had fundamentally different engines that just could not be natively compatible with one another without the console costing significantly more, because they would have to include the processor from the old console into the new one in order for it to work. Microsoft, they had a workaround around that with having software emulation, which allows games to run a lot better because it's an emulation, so it's not native. But I think PlayStation 4 games will look significantly better on the PlayStation 5 via backwards compatibility without the need to buy a remastered version of the same game. So that's going to be a good thing, because I effing hate remasters. I think they're just so goddamn redundant, and they hold the industry back, in my opinion, because instead of focusing on making new games, it's recreating old experiences and living in the past and cashing in on nostalgia. So I'm glad for remasters to just be the way of the dinosaur at this point, because they've been pissing me off this generation. It seems like we got nothing but remasters the entire damn generation and not too many new games. So remasters being gone is a good thing. They can focus on making new games, creating new experiences, and not relying heavily on the past. But overall, I think 5 to 10 years from now, console gaming will be completely unrecognizable from how it is now. I think those three factors that I mentioned in this video, cross-gen gaming, backwards compatibility, and the new one that people aren't really talking about and people aren't really thinking about that much, is forwards compatibility. I think all these three things are going to make console gaming a more cool, convenient, and modern experience than we've ever seen before. I think all three major console manufacturers have all shown willingness to reach that ultimate future of console generations becoming more and more obsolete as time goes on, but they all have completely fundamentally different approaches to the future of console gaming, and they're all doing their own thing. So Sony, while they are making their generations of consoles, the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, more open to each other, the PlayStation platform as a whole is still going to be more or less closed off to the rest of gaming, while Microsoft has shown a willingness to be much more open, especially what they're doing with PC, putting all their games, all their exclusives on PC and on multiple different PC storefronts. I don't know if they're going to put games on the PlayStation necessarily. That might be a little bit of a stretch, but they're definitely on track to break a lot of barriers of console gaming and just make the console experience more open than it's ever been before. I think the next Xbox will honestly be more similar to the Alienware Alpha than a traditional console, in the sense that it's more like a conventional PC, not like an actual full-blown console experience. It will be a console experience, like you will have set hardware, it's not going to be upgradable or anything like that, but I do think that it's going to feel more like a PC than any other console has ever felt like before. I think we can get full mod support on the Xbox, the next generation Xbox. Games are going to have full mod support in them. I think they're going to have a lot of features that have been exclusive to PC until this point that we will see on the next generation of Xbox consoles. And Xbox also doesn't care about exclusives. Microsoft is just trying to destroy the concept of exclusives. Like I said earlier, putting all their exclusives on multiple PC storefronts, introducing Xbox Game Pass to the PC, and also filing a patent that would make Xbox 360, Xbox One games fully compatible on the PC, natively compatible on the PC, which would be a total game changer. I think they're going to definitely go for that towards the next generation as well, where the Xbox and the PC are essentially going to be the same thing. They're going to be one unified platform, because at the end of the day, Windows is a Microsoft product. Microsoft cares more about selling their services and their products, and I think Xbox is just going to be a tool, a medium for them to continuously promote their cloud services, their subscription services, all that. That's key and vital to not Xbox's growth, but Microsoft's growth as a whole. And Nintendo also seems willing to completely change what it means to be a video game console, just in a different way. They're focusing less on cloud streaming and making more unified platform and a more free and open platform. Nintendo is, at the end of the day, Nintendo. They care more about people buying their hardware and having an exclusive lockdown platform. I mean, Nintendo is kind of a nanny state when it comes to their platform and regulating it, where you have certain games that will not have voice chat because you got to think of the children, and you have certain content that is curated because Nintendo wants to view themselves as a family-friendly platform, and they're definitely way more restrictive than Sony and Microsoft. But at the end of the day, they're also making a lot of significant changes and innovations. The Nintendo Switch, for example, is a hybrid console like nothing we've ever seen before. Is it a handheld? Is it a home console? It's both. And is it the 8th generation? Is it the 9th generation? Nintendo doesn't give a shit about generations. They're just releasing their system whenever they want to, because they released the Nintendo Switch in between the 8th and 9th generation, and their next system will probably be also released in between the 9th and 10th generation, kind of when Microsoft makes their next version of the Xbox One X around 2023. So I think just the overall notion of console generations is just going to be completely phased away. And I think the writing is pretty much on the wall at this point. I don't think it's a bad change, but it's definitely a significant change. So let me know what you guys think about the future of console gaming and backwards compatibility, forwards compatibility, sideways compatibility, whatever you want to say. And cross-gen gaming, all these important features that are being implemented in consoles that we've never seen before. And while backwards compatibility is something we're all very familiar with, not to this level where the backwards compatibility actually leads to an enhanced version of the same game on a different console, utilizing the power of the new console without having to force you to buy the same game on two platforms. So Yeah, console gaming is definitely going to be shaken up over the next few years. It's going to be completely unrecognizable, like I said, and it's definitely an exciting time to be a console gamer. I think it's only looking up, not down. All the naysayers saying Google is going to take over, Netflix gaming is going to take over, all these streaming services are going to take over. Well, there's people who have said something similar back in 2010, 2011 when OnLive started coming up in the picture, and that OnLive ended up being a non-factor. I think streaming may take a more significant role in the gaming industry than it had previously. The technology is more refined than it was back in 2010, 2011, to be fair. But when you have people who are still sticking to their physical discs and cartridges these days and not going to digital gaming, you still have a significant number of people who are even doing that. It makes me a little bit skeptical of the notion that consoles will become extinct in the near future, anywhere in the future, actually, because streaming services do have significant problems, and I think console gaming will ultimately be a more palatable gaming option than streaming services. But we'll see. Only time can tell. I'm not pretending to be some type of expert that knows everything about the future. I'm not like a Michael Pachter or someone like that who acts like they're more important than they actually are. And I'm not trying to be like that. But I'm making an educated guess based off of what I've been seeing so far. And I have a good feeling that I'm going to be right about at least most of what I said in this video. So, well, it remains to be seen. Check back 5 years from now, see if I'm right. That's all you could really do. At this point, it's just speculation, but I think I got a good one here. I think this might end up being right, especially the point of forwards compatibility. It's going to be something that people haven't even thought about, and boom, it's going to be there. So, we'll see. Maybe I'm just being a little bit arrogant, but who knows? But I want to know what the rest of you people think. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? What do you think the future of console gaming entails? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you, as always, for tuning in, supporting the channel. It means a lot to me. And I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.